Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. And as we do have rain spreading in over the course of this afternoon and the evening, it will still be pretty decent over the coming days. Still plenty of sunshine around there and drier weather through the weekend into the start of next week, and that is looking likely to continue for the next week to 10 days as well, as we'll have a look at the longer range in the second half of the video. There will be interludes of rain though, and areas of low pressure, cloud and showers, but hopefully most of the time it will be fairly dry and it will be fairly sunny, with increasing temperatures over the next week or so as we generally get later in the year. So the air masses do increase and we will generally see a warmer wind direction coming in as well. Component of that sunshine, temperatures will be around those mid-teens, maybe even high teens, or even the potential for 20 degrees in the next maybe week or two. That is a low chance, but definitely mid to high teens looks a real possibility into next week and possibly the week after. So the spring sunshine we have at the moment does look like it will continue, but there will be periods of rain breaking it up at times. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now if you start on the live radar, you can see the rain heading in at the moment, quite patchy, mostly light to moderate. There are a few heavier pulses through southern Scotland and far southwest, but as I said, most of it is light to moderate and it is patchy, so it'll be on and off, not all the time, but bringing in thicker cloud that will make it feel a little bit cooler out there and the wind picking up a bit. Ahead of this weather front in parts of eastern areas earlier today, pretty decent with a bit of sunshine heading in. Not quite as good as the last couple of days where it has been really quite nice out there. I even was out a couple of days ago, I think it was yesterday, the day before, and actually got a bit of sunburn out there, just showing you how strong the sunshine is getting this time of year. So yeah, really quite warm out there, pretty decent, but of course when the cloud, rain and wind comes in, it will feel like it is sort of early spring or late winter once again. Though the best thing though is that this will be spreading through quite quickly, and by probably Friday it will be brighter, sunnier and drier once again. Now if you put on the temperatures as of around 3:30, you can see ahead of the weather front really quite decent. All these yellows showing temperatures around the mid-teens. However, under the weather front, under the cloud, rain with gustier winds, more blues mixing in there, so more towards sort of 10 degrees or so. So you can see the big difference that we do get, the big split between where we see sunshine and no sunshine, just showing you the effect that the sun does have, especially this time of year. Behind the weather front, it does slowly get warmer. You can see across parts of the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland and Scotland, which are behind the weather front now, but the air behind the weather front isn't all too cold. It's quite a weak weather front, so the air mass change isn't all too much, but it's really that cloud and rain holding it down. Once you get behind the weather front, the cloud and rain clears, a bit of sunshine comes through, and we do see an increase in temperatures. Hopefully the majority of this rain does spread through now overnight tonight, so by tomorrow there will be showers around, so still the risk of rain, but shouldn't be as widespread and as miserable as today has been in western areas. So if you do have a look at that UKV run, see what it is showing over the course of the next 5 days, you can see the rain spreading in at the moment, and it should clear over the course of this evening. Could be quite light to moderate and widespread over the course of tonight, and eventually does spread through. So by the early hours, it should have cleared eastern coastal areas, but you can see by lunchtime some heavier showers breaking out tomorrow, maybe even a few isolated thundery showers or thunderstorms within that. Again, need to keep an eye on that again, but for most areas of England and Wales, even into the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, the risk of some heavier showers, so do be aware of that. But elsewhere, apart from those showers, it should be fairly bright, so it should be fairly warm if you do avoid the rain. That will eventually all clear through Thursday evening and into Friday. Look at this, wall-to-wall sunshine. Once again, for many areas, some more cumulus cloud popping up there. You can see those scattered clouds indicating some pop-up clouds here or there, but nothing too crazy. Maybe a few showers, of course, northern and eastern coasts. And then into the weekend, perhaps another weather front trying to push in, but most areas, once again, are fairly dry. A little less in terms of sunshine there with some thicker cloud, but still really quite pleasant. And then finally into Sunday, that weather front tries to push in, but really gets weakened and just pushes an area of cloud in. So Sunday is still mostly dry, but thicker cloud, perhaps some rain clearing into Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland as well. And then finally into Monday, that rain will push in. So as I said, there will be drier days, there will be sunnier days, but equally there will be some bouts of heavier rain pushing through at times. Hopefully, whenever these weather fronts do sweep through, do break through that higher pressure, it does happen overnight. But again, we can't make any assurances, but that we'll just have to keep an eye on what happens. So yes, it's going to be really quite pleasant over the next 5 days, perhaps even longer, as we'll see in the longer range in a minute. But there will be brief periods of wetter, windier and cloudier weather, which will also coincide with cooler weather, as it does prevent the sunshine from warming the ground. So will be a good few days here, and then a good few days of good weather here, and then the rain will move back in on Monday. But we'll have to see what happens, as there is quite conflicting signals between high pressure and low pressure, but a bit of a battleground going on with the precipitation in the areas of low pressure, high pressure. If you just finish by having a look at the max temperatures before we look at the longer range, you can see, of course, this afternoon 14 degrees across East Anglia, but only 7 to 9 degrees across parts of the Midlands. So just showing you the effect the rain and cloud has. Into tomorrow, temperatures will be well above freezing overnight. We have had a few issues with frost over the last couple of days because of clearer skies, but no issues the next day or so with more cloud around. And again tomorrow into the afternoon, where we avoid those showers, 14-15 degrees, but under those showers maybe only 7 or 8. Pretty chilly, I must say so indeed. But of course those showers are hit and miss, so it could be showing 7 degrees here. In actual fact it could be 12 or 13, just if those showers develop slightly differently to what they're showing here. If you run into Friday, overnight temperatures could drop down towards freezing in northern and west areas with clearer skies, and then into Friday afternoon you can see those temperatures again 12 to 15 degrees, so quite a bit warmer, and that will continue into Saturday as well. Again, potential for a frost, and then into Saturday afternoon once again 14-15 degrees or even higher, so really quite pleasant. And then into Sunday again, temperatures mid-single digits, and then into the afternoon, look at that, maybe 16 or 17 degrees. Those temperatures slowly nudging up for Easter Sunday, really quite nice out there. And then finally into Easter Monday, rain, as I said, will be moving in, so it will be cooler. But again, things can change. There are conflicting runs at the moment, so we'll just keep an eye on what they are showing. So do now have a look at the longer range, go through the GFS, GM, ECWF and the Ensembles. You can see the high pressure over the top of us at the moment is coming under some strain from the lower pressure. Low pressure does sweep through temporarily before the high pressure does build back in for most of the weekend. However, into Easter Monday, another low moves through and does clear into Europe. Now, this is where we start to see some uncertainty. Again, pretty expected around day 7. Some runs do have the higher pressure building back in, keeping us settled, pretty decent conditions out there with a lot of sunshine. Other runs have lower pressure dominating here. So the high pressure tries to build back in, does it temporarily into maybe Wednesday, Thursday, but the GFS does have lower pressure moving back in. Brief areas of high pressure could dominate, but look at those greens just shifting into the far west, and the high pressure is a lot weaker over the top of us. So even though we are still under the influence of higher pressure, it wouldn't be quite as sunny, more cloud and more showers around. Again, wafted up a southerly wind, it could be fairly mild at times, fairly warm, but again the air mass we'll have to see in a minute. And then right into the extended range, we still have a big high pressure signal, so we'll still be high pressure dominated into the longer term. So GFS definitely keeping the high pressure around, but perhaps losing its influence slightly towards next week, into the next weekend. Again, won't be a whole difference. Doesn't look like low pressure is going to be sweeping in, so no massive areas of wind and rain or anything stormy, but definitely more showers, more cloud, and more just general bouts of unsettled sort of conditions there. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Again, things could change. High pressure could be slightly stronger. Everything could be shifted slightly further westwards. And if that did happen, we'd be much more high pressure dominated. Now, if you run back to sort of next week, where we're pretty sure on the upper air temperatures, you can see isn't particularly mild once that low pressure sweeps through into Tuesday. Brief milder sectors as the high pressure built in, but it's more of a cooler high pressure system next week. Again, we must remember that Upper air temperatures don't mean everything. It will mean that there will be cool temperatures overnight, but in the day, sunshine will still make it feel fairly warm, perhaps not quite as warm as the next few days, but as I said, into Sunday could reach 17, 18 degrees, maybe only sort of 12 or 13 next week. Beyond that, though, we do have signs that southerly winds could develop. This is where I said there's a possibility of maybe warmer conditions within the next sort of couple of weeks. Maybe a southerly wind wafting in here. Again, doesn't look amazingly hot or warm, but above average. You can look at the upper air temperatures getting into those oranges, so again temperatures around 4 to 6 degrees above average potentially there, and all the way into the longer range we've got more of an easterly flow, but as I said, the air across the continent is warming up, so we could see more of a milder easterly than we were seeing a week or so ago or earlier this week. So if we do now have a look at the GM, see how that does compare. Again, the low pressure sweeping in over the coming days. High pressure builds back in for the weekend, really quite pleasant into Easter Sunday, but into Easter Monday, look at that, low pressure sweeps back in, and we actually go more low pressure dominated here from the GM. Still high pressure building in, but it's further eastwards, and what this means is we are going to be fairly mild with a southwesterly, those upper air temperatures. We do see brief periods of cool weather, but equally some periods of warmer southwesterly, so a bit of a mix of air masses, but it could be really quite warm southwesties for a time, but it's always associated with more rain, cloud and wind. So more unsettled from the GEM, and yeah, not looking anywhere near as good as the GFS was looking, even though the GFS did have periods of rain. So a bit of uncertainty, as I said, day 7 to day 10, definitely looking likely we could see briefly warmer spells, but whether it's under higher pressure with southerly winds, or whether it's accompanying southwesterly winds with more unsettled low pressure systems moving in. If we compare it to the ECMWF, again, low pressure moving in over the coming days. High pressure builds back in for the weekend. Eventually, low pressure will move back in next week, temporarily into early to middle of next week, but high pressure does try to build back in, and we're poised at day 10. Uncertain whether low pressure is going to move back in, or whether this high pressure is going to build and reform and keep us drier and sunnier. So all three runs do have high pressure still being quite a main influence, but definitely have powered up the jet stream a little bit more than they have the last couple of days. So more low pressure influence definitely in the west, perhaps more widespread as well, like the GM was showing, but it is still just too early to say for certain exactly what will happen. It is still looking fairly up and down with the temperatures, probably more towards average to above average from the looks of it, with more southerlies or southwesterly flows than anything from the north or the east. That is looking more likely. So regardless of the pressure, it is looking fairly mild. And of course, under high pressure, it could be quite warm. So we will have to see. But again, a lot of uncertainty exactly what sort of pressure pattern will be dominating. We know the rough outlook, but again, a few hundred miles eastwards or westward shifts will make a big difference to the surface conditions. Again, finally, if we just have a look at the ensembles, you can see the latest GFS. Generally, temperatures are average and definitely in the longer term trending more above average. Again, precipitation isn't too high. It's high the next day as we do see rain move through. Then through the Easter weekend, it is very dry. And then we see another bout of unsettled weather through Monday, Tuesday, maybe into Wednesday. And then things could settle down once again. But we still see quite a few precipitation spikes because some of these runs still showing something quite unsettled moving in from the west. And this is sort of the battle between westerlies or higher pressure holding firm. But it's a definite signal for it to probably turn milder with more southwesterly winds, so definitely looking a little bit warmer there and lesser in terms of cooler or colder runs. Again, we can see that well emphasised by looking at the dew points. In the longer term, dew points mostly are above freezing towards 6, 7, 8 degrees. So nothing hugely warm, nothing hugely mild, no sort of mid-20s or anything like that we can see sometimes towards the middle to end of April, but definitely perhaps mid to high teens, looking more than likely maybe even hitting 20 degrees with these sort of air masses. And again, you can look at the 2 metre temperatures, definitely on an upwards trend in the longer term, generally hovering around the low to mid-teens, again, dependent on cloud amounts and sunshine, again, more likely towards 15, 16 with sun, below that with more cloud and rain, so we'll be quite up and down over the next week or so. And then, as I said, into the longer range, there are signs it could turn more widely warmer, or just generally. Again, we don't know whether there'll be rain or high pressure accompanying that, but just generally milder air masses looking more and more likely, and you can see the average temperature there getting up towards the mid-teens and some even getting towards the 20-degree range. And if we finish by just looking at the ECMWF ensembles for the midnight run, again you can see it follows very similar. Generally around average, slightly above, slightly below over the next week or so, and then perhaps quite consistently well above average towards sort of the 13th, 14th, 15th and beyond, where it does start to average and progress upwards. And again, very similar in terms of precipitation. Period of precipitation over the next day or so, and then 3 or 4 day break into the weekend, and then finally into early next week, more rain, and then uncertainty as we head into the middle of next week, whether we'll see that rain continue or high pressure rebuild. But as I said, the continued theme is to perhaps get slightly milder or even warmer. Again, the sea level pressure difference here, you can see again, relatively high pressure dominated, but not a huge high pressure signal. Again, sort of the balance between the sort of mean sea level pressure, where you'd say sort of in between low pressure, high pressure, is around 1,015 millibars. And you can see generally we're 1,015 millibars or above, but only subtly on the averages here. So it is a weak high pressure signal, but it is a high pressure signal nonetheless. And of course, we will see what happens with that. So anyway, if you are enjoying the warmer, drier and sunnier weather, there will be more of that to come, especially through this weekend and perhaps into the longer term as well. But there will be interludes of rain and cloud, especially in the west. So it won't be wall-to-wall sunshine at all times, and for a number of days on end there will be breaks of cloud, rain, and maybe even some thunderstorms like into tomorrow. But equally, as I said, there'll be plenty of spring sunshine. So if you are looking forward to more of that, there will be more incoming and perhaps even warmer temperatures as we head into the longer term. We'll just have to keep an eye on that overall pressure pattern. That will decide whether it is milder and sunnier or milder, wetter and windier as we head towards the middle to end of April. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.